All right, everybody. Bill Belichick just spoke with the media for the first time since the day following the Patriots' exit to the Tennessee Titans last year. So I wanted to give you an update on what he had to say, my reactions to it all. This was supposed to be an NFL draft teleconference. Majority of it was relative to the draft, but Belichick touched on a lot of topics I want to get to. I'll sort of go in order here on what went down. Started by thanking, the doctors, nurses, first responders, and the coronavirus pandemic. Quickly made another statement about Tom Brady, saying, we'll be talking about him for years to come, but my statement is my statement. And with that, we went into the draft conversation. He was asked about the QB class. Pretty typical with Bill Belichick, always saying, a lot of these college players are playing in systems that some are similar to us, pro style, some are not similar at all. So that's always the caveat evaluating a quarterback. He did say, seemingly, and I want to say he was in a pretty good mood. A lot of complimenting of the reporters for their questions, pretty long-winded on some answers. In terms of the logistics of preparing for a draft without in-person meetings, he seemingly has been okay with it, saying that he's had as many or more conversation with players than in years past. Obviously, those are through FaceTime or phone calls, but in terms of the volume of conversations, as many or more. He said he's becoming more tech savvy in this process, learning probably the FaceTime and the Zooming apps and all the things he has to do with his team to make this draft process work. But seemingly feels pretty good about where they are, a week and a half out of the draft. The Patriots, of course, have a first-round pick at 23 and not again till 87. That was one of the things he was asked about, and he said, that is a big gap. But in terms of maneuvering within the draft, that usually doesn't happen until the couple days before the draft. He was followed up with a Tom Brady question about if they tried to bring him back. He used the term "water under the bridge." It was a follow-up from Mike Giardi, and he said, I've already touched on that. So that was the follow-up on the Brady stuff. So in terms of more draft stuff, asked about the logistics of working with players, evaluating players with everything going on with them at the facility. So it's a different situation this year. Obviously, the league year, we don't know what's going to happen with OTAs and such. Something I liked was someone asked, I think it was Phil Perry asked, about you had Tom Brady for 20 years. Now you're going to have a different quarterback. How does the offense change? Do you make it more of an athletic offense if you have a new quarterback? Belichick said, for 20 years, every decision we made offensively was to have the best interest in mind of Tom Brady, our quarterback. He said that'll remain the case. So whoever the QB is, Jarrett Stidham, Brian Hoyer, someone else, you want to cater the offense towards the strength of the quarterback. So I thought that was interesting. They're not just going to keep the same offense necessarily or change it. It depends on who the quarterback is. I thought it was interesting when he was asked specifically about Brian Hoyer. He wouldn't, when Belichick knows the media wants him to praise someone, that's when he usually brings in the other people in that position group and praises them too. So what do you think about Jarrett Stidham so far? Well, he and Brian Hoyer, they're doing the best they can. They're going to work, blah, 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 blah. So not Jarrett is great. We love him. He's our starter. You're not going to hear Bill Belichick say those things. He was asked about second-round picks and some shortcomings there. Didn't get into great deal. Talked about, they've had some hits. They've had some misses. But, yeah, my big takeaways going into the draft, seems like they have their ducks in a row. The tech issues haven't been a huge deal with talking and evaluating to players prior to the draft without the in-person visits. He seems enthusiastic, ready to go in this post-Tom Brady era. Seemingly was in a good mood on this day. And it's a big draft for the Patriots, make no mistake about it. They need to reload, get younger, get better, get more athletic. So we'll see how that goes next week.